You are listening to the On the Blueline podcast, covering the National Hockey League and more hockey news. Here are your hosts now, Phil Bernardi and Chad Van Doorzen. Hi, and hello, podcast listeners. Today is Tuesday, November 14th. What a crazy week we've had in the NHL. These past 10 games for every team in the league have been pretty up and down, pretty middling, and we've had some disappointments. But I'd just like to highlight a few things to start off right off the bat, before I talk about the Blackhawks. On the 9th, Brian Boyle scored his first goal of the season after being diagnosed with a form of leukemia. On the 10th and 11th, we had the Global Series in Stockholm, Sweden, between the Ottawa Senators and the Colorado Avalanche. On the 10th, Friday, the Ottawa Senators won in overtime, 4-3. Anderson and Varlamov started for Ottawa and Colorado, respectively. The next day, Saturday, the 11th, they played each other again. Mike Condon this time started for Ottawa, and Jonathan Bernier started in net for Colorado. Condon got pulled in the second period after a few bad bounces. Guy Boucher, the coach of Ottawa, was looking to shake up his team a little bit, and he did it because Ottawa came back and won it 4-3. And last night, Monday the 13th, we had the Hall of Fame induction ceremony for Dave Andreychuk, Teemu Selanne, Paul Kariya, Mark Recchi, and Danielle Goyer became the fifth woman to be inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. A pretty cool weekend in the NHL. Now, to get to some of the hot teams that have been playing so far, we got Tampa Bay, 8-1-1 in their last 10 games. I mean, they have been on a complete tear. They're 7-1-1 at home and away. I mean, their goal differential is off the charts. They've scored 71 goals and 46 goals against. That's a 25-goal difference. Another team that's been really hot lately has been the Rangers, going 8-2, but away from the Garden, they're 2-3. Although they're near the bottom of the Eastern Conference standings, we have Montreal 7-3-0 in their last 10 games. Their most recent win was against Buffalo on the 11th. Atop the Western Conference, we have the Blues 7-3-0 in their last 10. 7-2-0 at home. I mean, the top three teams in the Western Conference, St. Louis, Los Angeles, and Vegas, are all pretty up there with their goal differentials, with at least 11 goals for compared to goals against, compared to the Blackhawks, who are +4. Right now, the Hawks have been kind of middling in their last 10, 4-6, but you know, it's not been a easy November so far for the Blackhawks. I went up to Minnesota recently and watched their 2-0 win over the Wild, and man, that was pretty cool. It was a really good game, 0-0 until 5 minutes left in the third period when Chicago put up a goal on Dubnyk. I mean, all the Hawks fans there went wild. I mean, it was no pun intended. But it was pretty neat. But yeah, to start the month, I mean, all the games that the Hawks played were, shutouts, either for Chicago or for the other team. And then the most recent heartbreaker was Sunday. Their 7-5 loss against the Devils, who have been red hot also lately. I mean, it was kind of disheartening to see them starting off winning 4-1, and then they turn around and lose 7-5. But these Devils, they're young and tenacious. I also got to say, Carolina, they've been pretty up and down, but man, they gave the Hawks a scare on Saturday night. It's also the Hockey Fights Cancer month this month. Some other teams that have been hot, that I'd like to mention. Winnipeg, I mean, they started off sort of slow. Everyone expected Steve Mason to be the starter, And now Connor Hellebuck, he's taken over for Mason, and he's just become, the starter that Winnipeg needs behind Nikolai Ehlers and Patrick Laine, the two top forwards for the Jets, who have been amazing at scoring goals this season. Vegas, they're so exciting to watch. It's tough to see them on their fourth string goalie, Maxime Lagacé, but it's still exciting to watch them. They're very, very fun to watch. They're fast, young. It's not your typical expansion team of the past where, everyone got the bottom of the barrel. All these teams that left good players unprotected, and it's been very, very exciting to watch. Nashville's on a 4-game winning streak. It's been good this season. The Rangers, 6-game winning streak. A lot of teams have been up and down. There's been a lot of parity. Some teams we kind of thought would be at the bottom have been at the bottom, like in the Eastern Conference. Montreal, Buffalo, and Florida near the bottom, as well as Arizona in the Western Conference. It's pretty surprising to see how far Minnesota's dropped from being one of the leaders in the Western Conference all the way down to, third to last. And it's really crazy to see Edmonton second to last in the Western Conference. Connor McDavid's been on a tear lately, and so is Draisaitl, but they need to start getting wins, not overtime losses or shootout losses. They can't just escape with 1 point. They need to come away with the 2. As far as my Avalanche, they're still behind the Blackhawks, but they're right there with them at 17 points compared to the Hawks 18. And I'm pretty happy with how the Avalanche have been playing. They're not dead last. We're 8-7-1 compared to the Hawks 8-2. We've played a little less games, but it's been fun watching the the Avalanche be well. And it's really weird to watch the Hawks be a team that hasn't really lived up to expectations, so to say. We all expect them here in the Chicagoland to do really well, and to see them sort of, come out and not be the typical Hawks team in the past where they've been clutch and they know what to do and they can come through in the end and win it. They've been shut out a few times this year, and it's just been very difficult to watch a team that sometimes hasn't shown effort. But they have, always had their moments where they've been shown flashes of greatness. And it's, frustrating to watch that team, not, be great all the time. But, I can see them coming back over these next couple weeks and being within the top of the division and top of the Western Conference. I'd like to say thank you to our sponsor from the state of hockey. The state of hockey is Minnesota due to the numerous high school and collegiate teams, as well as the Minnesota Wild. I thank you, XL Energy Center, for providing a great experience. That Hawks game was amazing. I loved going up just for the night. Went up Saturday, came back Sunday. It was really, really cool. There are a few other Hawks fans on the plane with me. We're also on WJOB 1230 AM, 104.7 FM, WJOB1230.com, on the Blueline on Facebook. We got a Twitter, we got Instagram. You can find us on our YouTube channel at On the Blueline Podcast. Thank you again, folks, for listening. This has been a fun weekend in the week of hockey. I can't wait to look at a few more games this week and come back with you with more information about the league. It's been a really crazy season, seeing all these teams going back and forth, up and down through the standings. It's just been a great season so far. I'm really excited to see what happens these next couple weeks with all these teams. And I gotta say, go Hawks, and personally, go Avalanche. This has been Phil Bernardi. Thank you again for listening to the On the Blueline Hockey Podcast.